Good morning, and as you've seen from the title, it's time for a knife test. And I've got the Fallkniven S1X B. Now, I'm a big fan of Fallkniven knives. The only thing I don't like about them is the small handles. And the handle on this is probably slightly bigger than a regular S1, but not that much bigger. I can't exactly tell you why I decided to buy this knife. I've got an A1 Pro, I had an F1 Pro. I really rate the cos steel. I think it's good stuff. Well, I'll give you my impressions of this knife now. The sheath, oh, I hate these sheaths, but this one's a definite upgrade on the old plastic sheaths. The lock on it's excellent, can't fault it. It's got this cam lock. If you're watching this, you've probably watched a few other videos with people who don't smash them through logs, and the cam lock works just fine. The belt loop's a little bit small, but I always use a dangler, and on my belt today I've got a Castron D-ring dangler which I'm going to attach it to anyway, so that's not really a problem. So let's get it out. I went for the coating. I never go for coatings. I think they're a waste of time, and most of the time they come off. But I watched a review with Cedric and Ada, the Australian guy, and he put one of these, I can't remember if it was this one or the F1, I can't remember anyway, but he put one of these and bashed it through some really nasty Australian logs, and it didn't even touch the coating. So I thought, I'll pay that bit extra and I'll go for the coating. First thing, it's a small knife, there's a lot of forward weight to it. I'm not expecting it to be much of a chopper, but there is quite a bit of forward weight, so I'll have a go with a bit of chopping. The spine feels sharp, which is good. As I've said, the handles, that is narrow, far too narrow for me. If I decide I like this knife, there's a good chance I'm going to put a liner in there to bulk it out. The only problem with that is it won't fit in the sheath, so I'll have to make another sheath. So then I've basically just bought a blade. Same grind as the Pro models, and I love my A1 Pro. I think that's a cracking knife. Shame the handle's still a bit small, but I can put up with it because I do like the knife. So yeah, nice sharp spine. That's a little bit sharp for my tastes, but we'll see now if it interferes with me when I'm doing the work with it. Nice little touch, I quite like that. Can batten on the end, shouldn't break anything. Sharpness wise, it does not shave. Does not shave at all, so that may be a bit of an issue. Feather sticking, we'll see. I've got sharpening kit with me anyway, so I may touch it up halfway through, see how it goes. So there it is, the S1X B. Right, plan is, like I usually do on a knife test, it needs a lighter fire. You can't call something a survival or a bushcraft knife if it's not capable of lighting a fire. Hoping that spine's fine with the ferro rod. If not, I've got matches. You shouldn't go anywhere without 3 forms of fire lighting anyway. You'd be a mug. Here's the scenario. You've come to the woods, you've got your knife, you haven't got a saw, you need to prep wood. It's been raining, everything's soaking, no kindling, no tinder. What I personally do is look for a dead standing tree. There's a small spruce behind me, dead standing, very dead I might add. Well, what I want to do now is process that. Knife out. Usually I would use a saw for this, but this is going to be a good test for this knife. Plan is, I need to make a batten first. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut up the tree And while the tree is still standing, I'm going to chop it, hopefully be able to snap it, or it's going to take me forever to chop with this, and make a batten first. Now the one thing I'm finding, I'm going down on the blade to get more forward weight, and that sharp bit is catching in my hand. Well, it took quite a while to chop through this piece of wood. I left about 1.5 inches diameter in the middle, and then I snapped it off, but it was hard work chopping. I won't bother showing you it, it was pretty boring. Get these dead branches off first. Baton. I'll clean these off now. The top of the tree is a bit rotten. That's pretty hard. The grind's a little thick for this method, but it worked okay. It was probably quicker than chopping. I switched hands. I've gone most of the way, well, I've gone about 1 inch all the way around now, so that'll be plenty now for me to split some chunks off. Well, I wouldn't normally do this technique, but seeing as the tang does protrude from the handle, I thought I'd give it a go. Well, I wanted to give it a good test anyway. Well, if you think that's a bit dangerous, it ain't going anywhere. It's going to take a bit of bashing. Well, I failed, and that's why. There's a bloody knot there. Well, I failed to get that off. Oh well, tough. I'll cut a piece off now, the top of the tree, and I'll process that. That should be okay. Bit of chopping, but it'll handle that no problem. That's quite an extreme test for it though. I've hit the living daylights out of it. That's the way to do it. I'm back at camp now by my chopping log, and I'm going to use the pieces I cut to make tinder and kindling. Here's a chunk I chopped. I'm going to split that down. Why do I always find the worst pieces of wood in the world? This baton is a load of shit as well. No straight grained easy to split woods in my videos. I give them hell. Well, that's it for battening and making my kindling. I'm going to make some tinder now. Feather sticks are on the cards. Bear in mind, this is still the edge it came with, which didn't shave. That'll do. That's better than a lot of knives would have done that aren't Scandis. Igniter stick. Shavings. I was aiming to make Siberian feather sticks, but the blade's just that bit too short to hold on to safely, so I just made a few shavings. Let's see if this thing can make spark then with ferro rod. Doesn't like doing it that way. Well, I'm sitting down comfortably. I've had a cup of tea, chilled out a bit. I'm just going to do some fine cutting tasks with the knife now. It's looking a bit worse for wear. Oh yeah. Just a few little cuts now. Cuts in well, considering how thick it is by there. Now I was going to make a bow drill set today, but I've run out of time. But I'm pretty sure it will. The only difficult bit would be cutting the notch, so I'll simulate a notch now. Yeah, flew through it, fine, no problem at all. I know I wouldn't be using spruce to make a bow drill set, but no, it does it just fine. That section is feeling a little bit blunt, but as I said earlier, it wasn't particularly sharp to start with. I'll run my nail across it now. No dings or anything, but I didn't expect it with this steel. Good. Make a few power cuts. The only thing we do in power cuts, that is in the heel of the hand over there. It's a little bit annoying. And if I choked up to do them, that is in there and it's a bit annoying and it's sharp. What I think I'll do now is I'll try and put a nice sharp edge on it quickly with some field sharpening toys. I've got a diamond rod and some DMT stones. I'll try the diamond rod first. This is a Kershaw diamond rod. I've had it for years. I've had it over 20 years. Oh shit. I've certainly got more bite on it. From the days when Kershaw made good kit, not the cheap old shit they make now. Well, it shaves now, and that didn't take much. I'm going to give it a strop as well. Starky blue. Well, that's a vast improvement. Little tickle with a diamond rod and a strop, and it's now shaving sharp. That was easy. Seeing as it's now properly sharp, I'll make another feather stick with it. Nice quick one. That'll go up with the ferro rod, no problem. My final thoughts on the Fallkniven S1X. It's a good knife, and to be honest with you, I didn't actually feel any need to have a thicker handle on it. It performed well. I've got a couple of gripes with it. I like the blade, but I don't like these bits being so sharp. Prolonged use, that is going to cut you. That's going to erode on your hands. And I've got thick skin in my hands. I'm a manual worker. I'm in the woods all the time and I do manual work. So I've got tough skin. I'm not going to play around with the handle. I think I'll leave it as it is. The fact that it didn't come shaving sharp was a bit of a letdown, but you could see how easy I put a razor edge on it. That was a dawdle. And I know for a fact this steel will keep an edge. I definitely rate this knife above the F1 Pro. Definitely, 100%. Put it this way, if you come back in a couple of months and I say I've sold it, well, there we are. But I don't think I will. I like it. It's a tough beast. It's got a sharp spine. It'll chop a bit. The test I gave was rather extreme, to be fair. I didn't need to do what I did with it. If you're comparing it to a Pro, I think it's a better knife, especially for hard use, because I bashed on that handle, and if that had been the fully wrapped thumb or whatever handle, it would have ruined it. But with the exposed tang, it didn't. That is a tough, hard use knife, and I like it. I even like the sheath, which I didn't think I would. The retention's good on it. The strap's a bit shit, but I always use a dangler, and Castron one works a treat with it. So plenty of scope on here to add things if you're, want to make a survival kit out of it. Plenty of room. You can get a stone on there. You can put a ferro rod, load of tape, paracord. Easy enough. Good knife. I'm pleased with it. If I compare it to something half the price, well, less than half, more than half the price, like the Garberg, similar size. Let's get them out. But an inch in it, you can't chop with this. Yeah, you can do battening with it just fine. You can feather just fine with it. You can carve with it to a certain point. That belly isn't very good for carving. You need a shallow curve. So, if I was in a survival situation, I would certainly pick that first. But then that's a damn sight cheaper. Compare it to the Bob. I'd prefer it to the Bob. But after the Bob's mods, with the good steel, with the 154 cm, price wise, perhaps the Bob would win. But I prefer this one. One other thing, I'm pretty sure it would have worked better with a better ferro rod. The ferro rod I had with me today is considerably worn. I should have brought a nice fresher rod, really. That's seen better days. I don't know how it got like that, but it's an old one. But it is a light my fire one. Well, if you stuck with me this long, please give me a thumbs up. Obviously, if you didn't stick with me, you're not watching me now. I paid for that knife myself. I did reach out to a shop and asked them if they'd send me one for review, and I was told, you're on the list, which means come back when you've got at least 10,000 subscribers. Fair enough, I can't argue with that. I can afford to buy one, so I bought one because I really wanted to try it out. Personal opinion, I think if you've got the money and you're looking for a Fallkniven survival knife, I would probably go for the A1X. I love my A1 Pro, it's just the right size for a survival knife. It'll do everything, but that's a good knife. I'm pleased with it. So, thank you very much for watching, and if you're a retailer and you think my tests are worth the effort and you fancy sending me a knife, I'd be very grateful. An A1X would be lovely. You won't get it back, mind you. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.